Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite game with the limp, and I'm here with ICBM Escalation, a fun game. It's released not too long ago by Slithering Games. So we're going to poke around at it, show you guys what's going on with it. I've got it loaded up here to the main menu, and as usual, I got the music cut off because I don't want to have to deal with YouTube's copyright BS crap that goes on. Now, ICBM is a game that is about launching nukes and just having a blast while you're doing it. I called it dumb fun in my holiday digital games buying guide, and there's a reason for it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. The game's deeper than you would originally anticipate because when I first started poking around, I expected just sectors on the map. You build up nukes and missile silos, and then you just try to blast the enemy before they blast you. There's actually a fair amount more going on than that, and it caught me by surprise. I'll show you guys a few different things. It does have multiplayer available to it. I don't play multiplayer. You see, I don't have any ranking when it comes to multiplayer, but just so you know, there is multiplayer. You can find a game or you can create a game. So if you do want to play multiplayer, it's there. I'm not doing that, but it is there. Tutorial. Now, usually, I'm not too huge. I think you can fiddle your way through the game, but I would actually say go ahead and do these tutorials. There's 11 of them, and it'll take you a little bit of time to get through all these. It'll probably take you about half an hour at least if you just sit there and play through all of them. But I would definitely recommend doing that because it helps ease you into the game and understand what all the different units do, all the different functions. You don't start off, well, depending on what game you're playing, you can start off with varying levels of equipment and technology. But some of that higher end stuff can be a little harder to understand, laser satellites and the like. So it's a good idea to go through these. It covers everything: basic control, research, diplomacy, ground movements, all that stuff. I will say that when you do the tutorial, do it step by step and don't try to do anything else, and do exactly what it's telling you to do. The tutorials I did find could be a little finicky when it came to moving to the next step. So it would give you an instruction: do this, move units to this flashing spot or destroy this city, whatever it was. And if you didn't do exactly what it said to do, sometimes it wouldn't carry over to the next thing. A couple times I did have to restart the tutorials. It's not a huge deal, but they are a touch finnier than I would appreciate. I would prefer to have some button just to hit next and move to the next step on the tutorial. Sometimes it was there, sometimes it wasn't, depending if it wanted you to do something. You needed to do the thing before whatever, it would move on to the next thing. But sometimes if you didn't do it exactly perfectly right, then it would move on. A couple times I did get stuck and I had to restart it. So do as it says and you shouldn't have a problem with it. The other options here, let's go to new game and we'll look at our different types of games that we can play. And like I said, there is sound to the game. Just have the music off, so there's nothing to hear on that. You got a couple of different ways you can play this game. And I like the fact that they put the time that is expected. That way you could determine what type of game do I want. Do I want just a half an hour slinging missiles, or do I want something that's going to take me hours to burn through? Standoff, this is the hot war where nuclear and conventional weapons collide, dominate, or eradicate your foes. The standard nuclear escalation experience, tense, brutal, full of action. So this is the mid level, right? This is the mid level of the amount of gameplay that's in there. Couple hours, it starts you off right there in the action. Everybody's wanting to nuke each other. The one I really like, and the one I'm going to show you, is Conquest. And this one, you can do the entire war. You start off with no technology research, with a standard selection of units, and you're going to have to slowly build up and research everything and kind of develop your, not nation, but the area that you control. We'll just call it nation for ease of access here. but you have to build up units, build up technology, and you can adjust that. I'll show you that here in just a minute. But this one's the long one. This one's going to take you many hours. It says 3 to 6 hours, and I would say three is if you start slamming it right out of the gate. This is going to err on that longer side, especially if you want to hit the late stage where you've got space age technology and satellites and lasers and all that cool stuff going on. It gets just a touch beyond where we're at now, time figure wise. This one's definitely going to run you more towards that 6 hours rather than the 3 hours. Blitz is literally just we're going to throw missiles as quick as possible and try to wipe everyone off the map. This is more towards that original ICBM experience, the older game where you just got in there, got stuck in. Now they do have some campaigns here, and if you do the campaign, it's a standard set of scenarios that you have to play through. So if you see here, there is a total of 11 missions, but you can't select which mission. Now, it might be different if you've played through them. I've been spending my time on Conquest instead of this one. But you see how it advances through the years. It goes all the way from 1950 to 2047. And you'll play through all of these missions. So it's a long, drawn out campaign. I like this. I think this is a cool idea, a nice addition, something more standard, like you would anticipate seeing in a campaign of Command and Conquer, Red Alert, those type deals, where you would do GDI or NOD, and you would have a set standard selection of missions that you would go through to ultimate victory. This kind of leans in that direction, whereas our other options here, these are more of, skirmish mode. All right, so when you're starting that conquest mode, that world domination, and this is just an example, you can make choices similar to this and the other types of gameplay, but conquest is the biggest, so it's a good one to use as an example. List down all the different factions that you can choose to control. Just click through these, and it shows you where on the map you're going to have control. Some areas, are going to be a little bit easier. North America is a easily defendable position, just like in real life. It is hard to attack the United States because there's no real land borders for enemies to use. The only ones you really have to worry about is Central America, so it's easy to guard in one direction. Central America, whereas they have to defend top and bottom. I do believe South America here, they probably do pretty well as well in this game for the same reason. They've only got one real border to defend. After that, it's sea, and you can transport units by sea, but it takes a little bit of effort. Anyway, the cool part about this game mode is that you can adjust all of this different stuff, right? So it shows you what you have when you first start out. Now that's going to be the same for each faction, but you can distribute this however you wish. So if you want to adjust what you're starting with and put those units or put those points towards something else, you can do that. Down here at the bottom, it shows you all the different ages that you can start at, so you can increase the technology level all the way up from the basics of the atomic age up to the future where they have the highest level technology. See there, it's lit up, and then all of these units change into their future forms. So start wherever you want to in history. If you want to start at the end, you can. Beginning, you can. Want to start in the middle, doesn't matter. You can pick. Now, all of these little items here, like the difficulty, technology, all this, click configure here at the bottom, and boom, look at all these options that come up. You really can adjust the game to play it however you want. Now, of course, again, I am referring to the single player, but over here on the left, these are going to be all your general settings, and you can adjust this to your heart's desires, whatever you want. For example, some of these things here on the left, these are referring to time periods. So what that means is, okay, so if we make a peace deal, how long is that peace deal good? Well, it shows here that peace deal is going to be good for 10 minutes. That's 10 minutes of our time. our real time, not in-game time, but real time for you on how long it's going to take to do that. Units deploying, if you make a deal for no nukes, how long stuff like that lasts. You can choose to ban certain weapons, right? So if you want to have certain missiles left out, you can do so. Submarines, other different types of ICBMs. What is this? Yeah, MIRVs, pretty much all these different types of weapons, and there are a freaking lot of them. There are a lot of them. You can choose whether or not you want them included in your game. I like that option. And then everything down through here, how long it takes to assimilate a region, countdown timers, contamination, ceasefire, permanent ally delay, treaties, scoring mode. There are different ways that you can score the game to gain a win. AI level, hard, normal, or easy. And again, I had mentioned this previously in a separate video. But for example, easy here means the AI players get 35% less production and science points than humans. Normal, they get 17, and hard, they get the same production points as a human player does. If you're first starting out, I would probably go normal or easy just so you can get a game under your belt, learn what technologies to go for. Gives yourself just that little bit of buffer. And again, you can do things like equalize the population or the GDP because that can be different for the factions, right? So they all have the same city count that you're looking at, but the population that's different. The U.S. has something like 146 or 140, I forget which million people, different GDPs. GDP is affected by losses, alliances enabled, start an alliance, build an ally territory, predefined teams, all that stuff. Cool part over here, what's taking up the biggest part of the screen, is you can choose exactly what technologies you want to allow into the game or not. So if you don't want one, you can just click on it and disable it. All right. Makes it to where you can pick and choose exactly what you want in the game. And also something kind of neat is you can save your configuration down here. That way, if you've developed a type of game that you like to play, you can save that and use it for each one of your different modes. Now, the one I'm going to show you here, I'm going to jump into one that I've just started. That way you guys can see one that is in action, but it's not too far in there. You can see basically how the game's going to begin. All right, so here we are at our global map. I have it currently paused. There's a lot of stuff going on, but this is early stage in the conquest. All right, so this is global domination. I am controlling the North American faction, so that's USA and Canada basically. And you have, what is it, 9 or 10 different factions that are in the game. Looking at them, we see we got North America, Central America, South America, Sub-Saharan Africa, Middle East, Europe, and Europe also includes Greenland, Russia, and they cover pretty much the top all the way across here, Central, Central South Asia, East Asia, this is your China region, and Asia Pacific. And you can see, you can just scroll all the way across it and, back all the way out. There are different map modes you can choose depending on what you like as a layout, more of a global type view, or if you're into the, what's it called, Mercator style maps. You'll notice though, like I said, it's not nations, these are regions. And they divide that up so everyone's got an equal amount of cities, of areas that is under their control. Because in this, you either want to destroy or capture your opponent's cities. Now, we can tell by looking at this in the top right, there's no global pollution. We haven't fired any nukes yet. They haven't been researched. You see the rest of the factions are CPU. This would be different if I were playing it multiplayer. Coming down from there in the bottom right, this is where you control your speed. You can pause the game, and then there are 4 levels of speed, so you can speed it up if you want to. You can do global view here, you see. And I like that. I think that looks kind of good. Right? And we can just cut that right back off again if we want to have the flat map, whichever you prefer. We can choose from a range of different types of views, right? Different types of things that we're looking at. Right now, I've got it set to the basic radar signature. So when I scroll in closer, you can see my forces, and these little blue circles around them is the radar signature that they're putting off, right? So the lighter blue circle, that's going to be their sight, and then they can attack, like specifically target enemy units in that darker circle. You see, I've got radar installations kind of ringing the coastline. I'm not too worried about being attacked from the top. I am going to build extra radar sites to put across there. And I have a few over here on the tip of Alaska, some bases and whatnot there just in case, because we're going to attack the Russians as soon as we can. Also down here, we can do a territory overlay, and that shows who owns what. And then we can do diplomacy. Pull this up and you get this screen. And this is where you can make all sorts of deals, try to wheel and deal with the opponents or players. If you're doing multiplayer, you see here, I have a peace treaty with Central America. They didn't want to do a peace treaty with me right off the bat, but I lined up the southern border full of tanks and planes that could bomb them, and suddenly they wanted to do a peace treaty. I like that. And you see all the different other factions. As you gain more knowledge, you will see these start to display certain things. So like North America, I know what's going on. So it shows that I'm working on early ballistic missiles because I want to start launching some stuff. And I am building some AA mobile units to help defend against air attack. If I know what's going on with other sites as I build up my espionage against them, like here, I see that Europe is working on mobile jammers. If they're building units, it'll show up here on the right. Research is shown here on the left. These icons here have to do with the percentages or what they control. Farthest left is the amount of people that are there, the city sites that they control. It's 15 per faction. And then things like their production, spying, nuclear arms, whatever, is all listed down here as well. So this is a good place to keep an eye on it, come back, check, see what your opponents are looking up. Maybe they're working more towards missiles, so maybe it's a good time to get some anti-missile technology. Maybe they're getting some submarines going, improving their subs, so you want to work on your destroyers. It's just a good idea to try to look, see what they got going on, try to counter. All right, continuing on, looking over here on the left, this is stuff that is yet to be deployed. When you first start the game, you're going to have a lot of items listed there. All your bases, your air bases, your radars, anything that you start with is going to be here on that left side. And then the neat part about this is all you have to do is click on it and place it on the map. It is very, very easy to do. Very intuitive controls. Now let's take a look at production and science. And I gotta say, I like how they've done this. It is very neat. You can control what percentage you want to apply towards your science and your construction. So similar to Hearts of Iron, you have to research different technologies and you have to produce different things. This is nowhere near as in depth as Hearts of Iron, but it's a similar premise, right? You have so much manpower, so much stuff that you can put towards construction and so much stuff that you can put towards science, and you can control the slider here at the top. And for me, at the beginning, I was like, I don't necessarily need to produce a lot right at the start. Let's dump more points in science. That way I can get those new technologies going quicker. See here, we've got our available for production. And over on this right side, this is all the different things. It's obviously going to expand as you play through your game, but it's broke down by type. Bases, facilities, fixed military sites. So think guns, radars, ground mobile units. So this is going to be your armies, your combat engineers, your spec ops teams. So cool they got spec ops teams. Ships and submarines, self-explanatory. Aircraft carriers, submarines, destroyers, cruisers, landing ships, they're all good at certain types of things. Aircraft, so you can build fighters, strategic bombers, air transports, all this stuff. And these will basically be extra, right? Excesses that you can use to replace those losses because they have to have an air base to be stationed at. Space warfare assets, I can't show you just yet. High yield nuclear weapons, same thing. Tactical nuclear weapons, specialized nuclear weapons, non-nuclear weapons. I'll start a game in the space age to show you guys that one. But you can just flick your mouse to flick over to the other side. And here's where we get into the research. And this is where I really think this game expands itself and shows its real depth. There is a huge list of technologies. It's not all this. This isn't all the technologies. This is just weapons of mass destruction. Then we go here. This is ballistic missiles, ground forces, aircraft, naval, smart weapons, air and missile, radar systems, electronic warfare, satellites and space weapons, domestic technologies, so like production and whatnot. You see all of these different things that need to be produced. Across the top, it shows what age they're associated with. The ones that are under where you're at are going to be much easier and much less time to research than the ones that are past that. You might have the prerequisite for it, right? So let's go to what I'm researching. What am I researching right now? Yeah, early ballistic missiles. So I am in the atomic age. I've got 50 seconds left on this. Once I do that, I've unlocked some of this other stuff, but you see, it takes a huge amount of time to get some of these later things. I could go to Launchpad ICBM, that's 20 minutes. Past that is 53 minutes for the compact one, 1 hour and 41 minutes, 10 hours if I get to the enhanced MERS. As I'm going through, of course, there's other prerequisites. And you're thinking, oh my God, that's ridiculous. It's supposed to be 3 to 6 hours. Well, it is. As you research more of a certain age, you're going to advance into the next stage. And when you do, those items, whatever's in the age that you're in, is going to have a reduced amount of time to produce it. You can research just a bit ahead in maybe a category or two, but I wouldn't suggest doing it on all of them, because if you try to go too far, you'll waste all your research and your opponents will be able to outgun you. And you see over here to the right, I do have a list of all the different items that I've clicked on so far. So I've got basically a queue going of all the different technologies. Now, just to show you guys really quickly, I went ahead and started up a game, set it at the future age, so I've got access to everything now. And you see it really starts expanding into itself. Space radar, space center, what certain items it produces, satellite relay center, spy satellite, launch warning satellite. So you could see, over the horizon, missiles coming in, high yield nuclear weapons, all these different types of nukes that you can use. You can even use futurized ones that do like fusion and see ASAT. Yeah, click on the wrong button. ASAT is the anti-satellite missiles that you can use. Looking up here at the top, you see specialized air base, forward FOBs, forward operating base, army base, research center, air base. A lot of this we do start off with fixed military sites, security checkpoints. Those you gotta have to protect against those spec ops teams. So if you've got launch sites, you want to have security checkpoints near them, so spec op team can't come in, sneak in, and blow that stuff out. Naval monitoring over the horizon, that'll give you that very, very long radar. SAM sites, missile silos, mid-course anti-ballistic missiles. Ground units, it does expand into the better units, but still the same basic things that you're looking at, right? You know, armies and uh, anti-air, technical teams, mobile SAMs, all that good stuff. Ships, a lot of the same stuff that we had seen previously. A few new additions like the missile subs. Same with the aircraft, with the exception that now instead of just the bombers and AWACS, you've got the helicopters that have been added into it. Attack helicopters, electronic warfare, aircraft. All right, so here's a zoomed in view of the game that I've got going on right now. And the general premise, what you're going to try to do in this game, just depending again on the scenario that you're playing, but Conquest is an example I'm using. You will have things like your units here. I'm moving some tanks around. You can see they're moving up theirs up to the border here. I got to worry about San Diego. They're a little close there for my taste. I think I've got a couple of. Don't I have a couple of army units I was moving down, or if they already got there? I'll have to check that. We still got a peace treaty, so I don't have to worry about them attacking. I'm actually moving a carrier battle group. You see over here, they've got a couple of destroyers and a cruiser and an attack submarine that I'm moving down here because I'm planning a combined launch when this peace treaty runs out. I'm going to attack by land and by sea and try to take some of their territory from them. Now, you can do that by sending in your ground forces into areas like these cities, and after they've sat there long enough unopposed, they will be able to capture these cities. You also do have the option, obviously, of nuking and destroying your enemy cities. But when you are trying to grow, to expand your power base, you're not worried about diplomacy, whatnot. You want to pick a plan of attack and send your troops there. And this game really is that simple. This is the Axis and Allies of digital war games. It's not overly difficult, but there is a fair amount of strategy that you can employ in this game with all the different types of units that you have available to you. Doing things like using your spec op teams to sneak in and take out their SAM sites, right? So their anti-air assets. If you can take those out, then you can send in your bombers to weaken their land forces. That way your ground forces can push in and attack and take control of those cities. Maybe you take control of 3 or 4 of their cities, sue for a peace deal, but you can't relax too much because there are a bunch of other factions on the board and they're going to be attacking each other, taking each other's territory, researching new technology. So you've always got to be on guard for that. Truth be told, I was very pleasantly surprised by ICBM Escalation. I expected something more akin to the old school stuff, similar to those phone mobile games you can have that you're launching missiles at this, they're launching missiles back at you, and you just try to win, and there's not too much strategy going on to it. This is a conquer the world game. It's got enough in there to keep any grognard happy, but it's streamlined enough that you don't have to be some military strategic expert to sit down and have fun with this. This isn't Gary Grigsby, all right? This isn't one where you're worrying about the minute details and the combat values of all the different units. Nope, you've got armies. You need to have more armies than them. It's rock, paper, scissors. Certain units are better than other types of units. If you use them correctly, the way that they're supposed to be used, you can overwhelm your opponent, take control of the area, and win. You have to do that while trying to keep them from nuking you into oblivion, which will happen. This is not a game where you won't get nuked. You will get nuked because it's designed in such a way that you can have anti-nuke assets, stuff, the missiles that go up or lasers that'll stop the nukes. But your opponents can easily overwhelm that by sending in things like MIRVs, breaking apart, hitting multiple different areas. You might be able to stop some, but you're not stopping all of them. And in this game, nuking is the name of the game. That's what's going to happen. There's going to be radiation on this counter I think this game is going to be an easy pick for anyone who's played Axis and Allies and had fun with it, played Risk and had fun with it. Now, again, I'm not saying this game is as simple as those, but it's a good example. It's that world domination, using your troops. You're going to take a bunch of losses, but everyone's got the same stuff. So you don't have to worry about different units, right? The Americans aren't using Abrams, the Russians aren't using T-80s. Everyone's just got army divisions. Now they can have different stats due to different types of research, but generally speaking, they got carriers and subs and tanks. You've got carriers and subs and tanks, and you're going to build your forces to try to take out their forces, and they're going to nuke your city, so you're going to nuke their cities in return. Lastly, like I said, it is multiplayer. I don't play multiplayer on this, so I can't comment if it's good or not, but I know it does have a fan base with a fair amount of players playing it, so my assumption is probably pretty decent for multiplayer if that's your thing. Escalation currently sells on Steam for $29.99. Do I think that's a fair price for the game? Yeah, for everything that you get in the game, for the amount of replayability that's in the game, all the different ways that you can play it, the inclusion of a campaign now, good graphics. I haven't had any issues with glitches or crashes, no crash to desktop or sound glitches, nothing like that. So it seems to be well made. I would say 29 is fair. If you can pick it up on sale for like 20 or under, yeah, jump on it immediately. Absolutely worth it at that price. So this one's going to be a buy for fans of the series or the genre, and a must buy if it goes on sale. But all right, that's going to be it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this look at Escalation. Stay tuned. I will have some more games coming up for you guys soon, and I've got some giveaways coming up in our Christmas Whiskey Charlie episode. So you guys make sure to tune in for that one. Y'all take care. I'll catch you in the next one.